Now at 9, going to hear from supporters and opponents. Joplin's proposition public safety ahead of tomorrow's elections.
The White House is trying to de-escalate tensions with China over a potential visit to Taiwan by Speaker Nancy Pelosi. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington. I'll have the latest on the Speaker's trip overseas coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. Tomorrow, citizens of Joplin are going to decide to vote for or against a higher property tax to help the Joplin police and fire departments get better retention and increased hiring. KOAM's Yana Hatala explains.
Joplin police and fire departments will get some extra funding if residents vote yes for Proposition Public Safety. The police department currently has 22 job openings, and staff is working overtime. The fire department could also add more workers, as well as a new fire station, according to Mike Seibert.
Expenditures like this, the city budget doesn't have the flexibility to add $9 million in additional expense the way we're set up. So we've got to find something in addition to the sales tax revenue.
If approved, it would add a property tax of $1 per $100 of assessed property value. Seibert says property taxes in other cities in Missouri are higher than in Joplin, where it is less than 4% because Joplin was said to be a sales tax-driven community. However, Joplin is not earning enough from it anymore because the cities nearby now have their own stores.
Well, that affects how much tax revenue the city of Joplin is able to generate through sales tax.
The raises were voted on by the city council back in May.
All of those raises are in effect. The only thing that is holding it back is the revenue source.
If the Proposition Public Safety passes, the raises will go into effect on November 1st. Joplin citizens are for and against the change.
I'm definitely for it because I want to do everything I can to help the police and help our firefighters in our community. You know, they put their lives out on the line every day for us, and they never know if they're going to go home to their families or not.
I think that it should be narrowed down to completely police and fire protection. I think it's too broad of a statement, and that there'll be other things used for it.
In Joplin, Yana Hautala, KOAM News.
Again, officials say that if the proposition passes, it would also help retain firefighters in Joplin throughout their careers. With primaries tomorrow, Kansans will also decide a constitutional amendment on the right to abortion. In the Show Me State of Missouri, polls are going to open at 6 a.m., run until 7 p.m. in Kansas. They're open from 7 to 7. We're going to have the latest results on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. All right, Sam Lane joining us now. Firstly, the forecast. That nicer, cooler weather was great while it lasted, man.
Yeah, it was just too good to last. You know, it was just too much of a good thing. And now we have the heat coming back. Over the last 36 hours, you can see temperatures yesterday were close to 90 degrees. Then we got down to about 74. But this afternoon, with those southwesterly winds, we jumped up almost 100 degrees again this afternoon. Right now, looking outside, we're looking at 99 for a high. 91 was the normal, 108 the records back in 2011, and 57. Wouldn't that feel nice way back a long time ago? Our storm tracker radar shows a few spotty sprinkles up to our north and east, up along Stockton area, and also maybe over there near Iola, but that is about it. But there are some rain chances coming, and I'll have all the details coming right up.
All right, Sam, thank you so much. Southwest Missouri man is dead from an early morning crash. Authorities say Franklin Bradley was driving on Lawrence 2040 in Miller, Missouri, where his car went off the road, hit a fence and tree, then overturned. Bradley died on the scene. Authorities responded to a call last night in Montgomery County, Kansas for an evening crash. They say when they arrived, they found a car upside down in the ditch where they found 40-year-old Amber Beckenholt of Elk City, Kansas. She died at the scene. $3 million grant. It's going to help fund the commercialization of materials made on the campus of Pitt State. State and local leaders made the announcement today at the university's Tyler Research Center. That's home to the National Institute for Materials Advancement, where the school works with scientists and government agencies to find ways to use sustainable materials to create products. The grant is going to help find ways to make those products commercially available.
So materials manufacturing is critical to the area. We bring that in. We've got a core competence in polymers and plastics. We're training the workforce here. We've got a skilled workforce. It only makes sense that as we build this out, then we diversify the economy and everybody wins in that.
An organizer says the grant is going to launch the Center for Commercialization, which will take the research to the next level. The center will bring in business partners and help create economic development teams. Kansas Senator Jerry Moran today announced new federal resources for the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff's Office received $60,000 to buy non-lethal weapons, enhanced tasers, and cameras on guns.
Violence has skyrocketed across the country, and the Midwest is not immune to that. And so our deputies are seeing an increase in violent situations on a regular basis. And these tools are going to allow us to apprehend those suspects in a safer way that will not only be safer for the suspects, but for the deputies and the community at large.
Senator Moran is the lead Republican on the Senate Appropriations Subcommittee on Commerce, Justice, Science, and related agencies, which help him secure the funds. President Biden once again working in isolation after testing positive for COVID-19 on the heels of his first bout with the virus. The president's physician called it, quote, rebound positivity, and says the president is symptom-free. USA officials say a CIA drone strike has killed al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri in Afghanistan. Current and former government officials began hearing yesterday afternoon that al-Zawahiri had been killed, but sources say the Biden administration, that is, delayed releasing the information until his death could be confirmed, the White House noted in a statement. The United States conducted a, quote, successful counterterrorism operation against a significant al-Qaeda target, and that there were no civilian casualties. Heated rhetoric coming from the Chinese government over House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's potential trip to Taiwan this week. The Communist Party not mincing words when it comes to their claim on the island. The visit sparking a major debate among national security officials and lawmakers over Taiwan's future and whether China is going to one day indeed invade. Fox's Lauren Blanchard has a closer look from D.C. tonight.
Ms. Pelosi! Speaker Pelosi, will you be going to Taiwan?
Stuck between a rock and a hard place during a trip to Asia, the world is watching to see if Speaker Nancy Pelosi stops in Taiwan in a show of solidarity and risks raising tensions with China, or if she heeds warnings from the Chinese government to stay away.
It will lead to a very serious situation and consequences.
Back home, there is bipartisan agreement that Pelosi should not let China dictate her schedule. And it's reported a Taiwan stop is not an if, but a when. She would be the first House Speaker to visit since Newt Gingrich back in 1997.
If the Speaker does decide to visit and China tries to create some kind of crisis or otherwise escalate tensions, that would be entirely on Beijing.
Over the weekend, China ramped up military drills in the area. There is concern Chinese President Xi Jinping could use the trip as a pretext for more aggressive military activity.
It's in his interest to stoke tensions, to show he's tough, to pretend like he's the only Chinese leader who can deal with the United States.
The White House said they advised Pelosi and her team on safety concerns.
There's certainly no reason for this to escalate. We're going to make sure that she has a safe and secure visit because that's our responsibility.
China has not said what exactly it will do if Pelosi follows through with her visit. However, she is not alone. There are a handful of Democratic members with her. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. Lewis Buckley has served in the U.S. Navy. And we are proud to thank and salute Lewis Buckley, a native of Cherokee, Kansas, by the way. He's tonight's four-state hero. Sam is next with a complete look at the forecast and a bit later. Pittsburgh Post 64 advancing to the Mid-South Regional Tournament.
Well, we had a pretty nice weekend across the four states with cooler temperatures, certainly deserving that after a very, very hot July. But we can at least enjoy this evening, a pleasant evening down in Seneca, Missouri with the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Beautiful night, just a few clouds out there, a few high, thin cirrus clouds, and that's about it. Speaking of July, let's talk about last month. And we actually were around 98 degrees for the average high, 74 for the low, and the average temperature overall for the month was 86. Where does that rank? Well, it ends up being the 5th hottest July in Joplin history, going all the way back to 1904. So July's over, let's start a new month, and let's hopefully get some rain in here and also some cooler temperatures. Over the last 24 hours, we did have a few sprinkles down across Oklahoma and northwestern Arkansas, but that's about it. Everyone was pretty much dry this afternoon. Temperatures right now are in the mid-80s, 86 in Joplin, 87 for our friends in Oswego, 86 in Chanute, 82 down in Jay for one of the cooler readings, 81 also over in Cassville and Anderson this evening, so a pleasant evening. But when you factor in the dew point, it feels a little bit warmer. 90 in Pittsburgh, 88 in Lamar, 85 in Mount Vernon, and in Webb City, 89 is what it feels like. Here in Joplin, taking a look at the range line cam, you can see 86 degrees. It feels like 89. That's because the dew point's up there at 68 and the humidity 55%, and the pressure is currently steady. The good news is we have some rain in the forecast. Here's a look at the rain tracker. As we go through now until Thursday afternoon, I hope this verifies because this would be very welcome news. Around 1 inch and 8/10 in Pittsburgh, around 1 inch here in Joplin. If this does verify, then that will certainly help with the temperatures and also the drought situation. But right now on radar, we're looking at storms moving off and away from us and not really a whole lot to go around. Temperatures tonight are going to drop into the mid-70s across most of the area. Then we're rapidly going to heat up in the afternoon, 100 plus just to the west. Wouldn't be surprised if we touched 100 here in Joplin too, but right now I'm going to go with 98 and 90 down in the Bentonville area. Then tomorrow and into Wednesday, we're going to see a cold front up to the north and west. But notice it kind of runs out of gas as it gets closer to us. Then we have an outflow boundary on Wednesday, and I think Wednesday we will certainly top 100 here in Joplin. But then Wednesday night into Thursday, notice a cold front drops down from the north, and that's when we expect the chances of showers to come back into our forecast. And you can see we're going to be right around 100 degrees on Wednesday, and then we go into Saturday and Sunday. We're going to be seeing temperatures around 97, 98, and with a few scattered storms possible, especially in the southeastern section. So Jordan, we go right back into the heat.
Yeah, it was so nice.
Yes.
Like you said earlier, it's so nice to get that rain, but we need even more, don't we?
Yes, and hopefully we're going to get it on Thursday.
Yeah, no kidding. Sam Lane, we'll see you in a little
You're
bit.
welcome.
Thanks so much, man. All right, coming up, a clash on Capitol Hill over veterans' health care.
Pressure is growing on the Senate to pass a bill that would extend medical coverage for veterans exposed to toxic burn pits. I'm Mather Rivera in Washington with why some Republicans are opposing the legislation. Coming up.
Report says teachers are going to be feeling the costs of school closures. They may, in a way, during the pandemic, they happened during the pandemic, through an unexpected effect. Now, the American Enterprise Institute says public student enrollments are down over 2 years by 1.3 million students, while many parents rejecting remote learning, turning instead to homeschooling. And the Wall Street Journal says school districts could lose state and federal funding, resulting in possible teacher layoffs and fewer union dues. New York could lose $1.1 billion specifically, LA $680 million. Ads are now running in LA to promote those public schools. Another vote expected on the PACT Act this week after the Senate bill failed to pass. The bill aims to help veterans exposed to toxic burns puts during their service, their experience during their service. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera reports now from Washington, D.C.
When Matt Zeller served as a combat advisor in Afghanistan in 2008, he knew danger hung in the air. What he didn't know at the time was that he'd be breathing it in.
We had burn pits literally every little outpost we went to, right? There's no Afghan trash system where the garbage truck comes and picks up your trash.
Zeller is one of an estimated 3.5 million veterans exposed to burn pits during the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Many of them are blaming the chemicals released from those fires as the cause of new battles.
I didn't have asthma when before I went to war. I've had an esophageal cancer scare.
Last week, the Senate tried to advance the PACT Act, a bill that would expand health care coverage for veterans exposed to the burn pits, but it failed 55-42. Republicans blocked the measure, with Senator Pat Toomey accusing Democrats of trying to squeeze in a multi-billion-dollar slush fund into the bill.
The Democrats added a provision that has nothing to do with veterans' health care, and that it's designed to change government accounting rules so that they can have a $400 billion spending spree.
The Secretary of Veterans Affairs is slamming the accusation.
If his estimations are wrong about what we'll spend in any given year, that means that we may have to ration care for veterans.
It's shameful and it's criminal.
Until Congress acts, Zeller says he and other veterans will continue their fight.
We've already done our part. Now it's time for them to do theirs.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says he plans to tee up the PACT Act for another vote this week. In Washington, Mallory Rivera, Fox News.
All right, still ahead, a unique edible art craze.
It's a dining experience that you can sink more than just your teeth into. I'm Jackie Ibanez with a look at how technology and food are combining for an immersive meal unlike anything else. That's straight ahead.
Cruise lines are dropping the requirement of a pre-cruise COVID test for vaccinated guests and away on shorter trips. In the coming days, Carnival Cruise Line, Royal Caribbean, and MSC Cruises will no longer require those pre-cruise testing for vaccinated guests on trips of 5 nights or less. And Virgin Voyages, Azamara, and Margaritaville at Sea are dropping required pre-embarking testing. The changes come after the CDC ended its COVID-19 program for cruise ships last month. Eating is a sensory experience, right? Can I get an amen? You heard that, right? We've heard that before. I put Sam on the spot. He's new. I'm sorry, Sam. A high-tech dining experience is letting you paint like the masters before devouring your edible creations. Fox News correspondent Jackie Bonnis is a special look at the immersive meal you have to see to believe.
It's time to take a culinary journey to a place where playing with your food isn't just encouraged, it's required. This is a glimpse of the 7 Paintings dinner at the Shangri-La, Dubai, a new futuristic hands-on dining experience meant to entertain and educate guests while they eat.
We wanted to join theatrics of food and food art with actual immersive dining experience.
Throughout the 2-hour, 7-course meal, state-of-the-art 3D technology transports guests back in time as they learn about 7 of the world's most renowned artists, including Michelangelo, Vincent van Gogh, Pablo Picasso, Salvador Dali, Jackson Pollock, Andy Warhol, and Banksy, with some of their masterpieces cascading across plates and tables, bringing them to life.
You get a nice journey through the various different seminal artists that they've been, all obviously whilst eating very good food as well.
Customers are also given the chance to become artists themselves. Various edible ingredients and brushes are provided so diners can paint their own delectable art inspired by the masters.
To be able actually to paint your own food and eat it and taste it and it's edible, I think it's an amazing experience.
Good news, the price of the dinner is far less than what the actual paintings could go for at auction. A seat at a private table goes for a little over $122 per person. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
All right, up next, how you can land yourself a bacon-themed title. Also, free bacon for life. So we just finished up our own conversation about bacon. We're going to share that here in a few seconds. For many meat lovers, bacon absolutely rules. You know, it's the cream of the crop. If you're one of those meat lovers, be the ruler of a city where bacon is king. Vernon, Texas, the home of Wright Brand Bacon, W-R-I-G-H-T, is going to rename itself Bacon City, USA on September 16th and 17th to celebrate Wright's 100th anniversary. And you might get elected mayor. If you put your name on the ballot, which is Wright's Mayor of Bacon City website, and show your qualifications in a video, the winner is going to get a trip to the festivities, also get free bacon for life. Now, as I said, Sam and I and Peyton, who's operating cameras tonight, we were talking about, none of us are absolutely crazy about bacon, right? Sam was saying, a bacon cheeseburger, you have a bacon on the breakfast plate, but some people, man, they got to have bacon gum. You know? But your absolute favorite food is what? Because you shared that, and that's good stuff.
Blackberry cobbler.
Blackberry cobbler. Right on, man.
Yeah.
Right on. All right, 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. How rising interest rates are impacting the local housing market.
A major economic breakthrough in Ukraine as the fighting ramps up in the south. I'm Alex Hogan in Kyiv, Ukraine. I'll have more on this story coming up.
Mortgage interest rates have doubled since the beginning of the year. With fluctuating rates, potential home buyers are navigating a changing market. Some local retailers say what had been a very strong market has slowed a bit. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has more.
The housing market has been shifting dramatically all year. The recent increase in housing interest rates made potential home buyers hesitate when searching for a home.
If you were shopping in January for a home, you were shopping at 3.5% interest. If you didn't find a home between January and now you look at the market and you're like, my interest rate's doubled. Like, that took me out of what I was even looking at. So
Ryan understands that home buyers can get cold feet when they see national interest rates increase. However, he wants them to keep this in mind.
but what they say now is marry the home, date the rate.
Rate fluctuates, and refinancing is a great way to snag a lower rate while living in your home. Brittany Guthrie do not want her clients to reject their dream home over rates.
I mean, interest rates are something that concern my clients because the media surrounds, so much drama around interest rates. Historically, 5 to 6% is an average interest rate. It's really not bad. It's a lot lower than what a lot of people have bought homes at. So
when it comes to the housing market, it's best to look at the long run.
In the long run, as long as you own a house if you're planning on owning it for about 5 years, then you should be okay. The numbers just continue to increase and home values increase. So
both realty experts foresee a shift in the market soon, a shift to a buyer's advantage. In Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
If you are planning on buying a home in the Joplin area, contact a local expert, of course, to help guide you through interest rates and the housing market. The emergency room at Mercy Hospital in Joplin is not testing just anyone for COVID anymore. Hospital says it's staying prepared by rationing its COVID tests. Unless you are symptomatic or have a referral from your doctor, Mercy's emergency room is directing people to go to an outpatient testing site. This is to make sure there are enough tests for critically ill patients.
The biggest issue is just the lack of available tests and the utilization of the tests for the most appropriate patient population. So we would hate to use one on an ambulatory, healthy, well-appearing young person and not have one for the critically ill respiratory failure patient that's getting admitted to the ICU.
Now, to find free testing sites for your area, just head over to our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Pittsburgh Community Schools is looking for workers to fill non-teaching positions, so today they hosted a job fair. Some of the jobs available include maintenance, food services, transportation, and paraprofessionals.
I appreciate those members who are interested, and it's exciting for us to see one-on-one interaction instead of it just being an online application. This gives us an opportunity to put a name with a face, shake someone's hand, and build a relationship.
The job fair was held at Pittsburgh High School. Popular sunscreen to prevent skin cancer may pose a cancer risk of its own. Banana Boat's hair and scalp sunscreen being recalled after tests detected trace levels of the carcinogen benzene. Edgewell Personal Care Company, which makes the sunscreen, says the recall applies to 3 batches of their SPF 30 spray. Okay, SPF 30 spray. The affected sunscreen lots have expiration dates of December of 2022, February 2023, or April of 2024. Well, the first grain shipment from Ukraine since the start of the war is now underway. It should bring much needed food to the Middle East by the middle of the week. Fox News correspondent Alex Hogan has more from Ukraine.
It's a sight most Ukrainians have been waiting for since the start of the war. Grain shipments are now underway from the port city of Odessa. The cargo ship Razoni successfully navigating around mine ports and heavily armed ships with more than 26,000 tons of grain on board. It's sailing under a new deal brokered by Turkey and the UN that will allow Ukraine to ship grain through the Black Sea, but it's still unclear how long it will last and whether both sides will hold up their end of the bargain.
We hope that everything guaranteed by our international guarantors will be fulfilled and respected.
Ukraine is known as the breadbasket of the world, and there are more than 22 million tons of grain waiting to be shipped out. World leaders are hoping this will help alleviate significant shortages that are sending prices soaring and threatening a global famine.
The merchant vessel Razoni is loaded with 2 commodities in short supply: corn and hope.
But the new shipments come as fighting is escalating elsewhere in Ukraine. Russia is still pressing its offensive in the east, making slow progress in the Donbass region. While Ukraine is mounting a major counteroffensive in the south, trying to retake territory and evacuate as many Ukrainian citizens as possible.
Їдьте, ми допоможемо.
Go, we will help. We are not Russia. Every life is important to us.
The Razoni is carrying much needed grain to Lebanon, but first it will stop in Istanbul, where it will be inspected by both officials from Russia and Ukraine. In Kyiv, Ukraine, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
A bit later, a day to recognize lung cancer prevention efforts. Also a reminder, an important reminder about lung cancer screening.
Well, we had a brief break over the weekend from the heat dome that we've been dealing with for most of the month of July. I hope you had a chance to get out and enjoy it. Beautiful evening out there right now in Seneca with the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Just a few high clouds earlier this evening, but those have now gone away as well. So a pretty pleasant evening across the area. Let's look back at July a little bit. The hottest July ever in Joplin history was way back in 1954. And then, of course, the scorching summer of 1980. I remember that one. 2011 and 2012, 10 years ago, was also very hot. And of course, we ended up with the 5th warmest July in history here in Joplin. And as a result, we have heat advisories in effect because of the heat coming back. This is in effect until Wednesday at 8 o'clock. That's for southeastern Kansas, southwest Missouri. But don't worry, you folks in Oklahoma and Arkansas will probably also be added to that as well. Temperatures right now are not that bad. They're generally in the mid 80s, a few even lower 80s, like in Anderson with 80 and 80 in Cassville, 87 still, though at this hour in Neodesha, and 88 degrees over there in Parsons. And when you factor in the dew point and the humidity, it feels a little bit warmer out there. 90 in Parsons, 90 in Pittsburgh, meanwhile 89 in Webb City. Currently our rangeline cam showing mostly fair conditions across the city with a temperature of 86 degrees, south wind at 11, and the dew point is up there at 68, and the humidity is at double nickel, 55%. All right, let's take a look at the rainfall forecast because there is some hope on the horizon. Hopefully this model will verify, because if it does, we're looking at 1 to maybe 1.5 inches of rain in a large part of our area. So hopefully that will come true. But in the meantime, we're going to be looking at a dry radar. We did have a few showers earlier this evening up near Osceola and Stockton, but those have now dissipated and are gone. And we're going to have to wait till about Wednesday night or Thursday before I think the really big chance of rain comes into our picture. Your future track looks like this. Tomorrow morning, temperatures in the mid to upper 70s across the area. Then as we start the afternoon, here comes the heat. Once again, temperatures well over 100 degrees in Sedan, 101 in Howard, 96 in Garnett, 97 in Pittsburgh, and of course, right here in Joplin, we could see close to 100 as well. Then as we go through Wednesday, notice a weak front up to the north, but it runs out of gas as it gets closer to us. Just some clouds nearby, but we're going to be reaching right around 100 degrees. And then as we go into Wednesday night and Thursday, that's when a bigger, stronger front comes through. And I think that's when the best chance of rain will start to come back into our forecast. But until then, we're going to be dealing with the century mark once again. And then Thursday, just to be nice, I dropped it down into the mid-90s. And then, of course, we have to bring it right back up close to 100 degrees by the time we head into the weekend. So, Jordan, it's going to be hot.
Yeah. You know, and looking at the glass half full.
There you go. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. Look at the nighttime temperature.
That's right. Temperature is pretty comfortable at night, and hopefully we'll get some rain on Thursday.
Yeah. Sam, thank you so much. Search continues for hundreds of people still missing after last week's flooding in Kentucky. The rebuilding now begins for thousands of residents. Fox Weather's Nicole Valdez has more.
We aren't going anywhere. We're going to repair every life, every structure, every town.
Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear says it could take years for the state to rebuild from last week's catastrophic flooding. Dozens are confirmed dead. Among the victims, 4 siblings ranging in age from 2 to 8 years old. On Monday, search and rescue efforts continued for those still missing. Crews will face a big challenge on Tuesday when temperatures climb across eastern Kentucky.
It's going to get really hot, and we need to make sure people are ultimately stable by that point in time.
The rushing water displaced thousands of Kentucky residents. Many neighbors stepped up to help one another, including this unidentified man who entered a nearly submerged home in Whitesburg last Thursday. A witness says over the next half hour, he helped bring a 98-year-old woman and each of her family members to safety.
There's over hundreds of homes without more that is devastated. And a lot of the homes have heroes.
And as thousands remain without power or clean water, People are showing up at churches and shelters, donating everything from clothes to baby formula.
I can promise you these are some of the hardest working, most resilient people you'll ever find, and it'll be put to good use, and we'll rebuild.
And Governor Beshear estimates it could cost millions to repair damaged infrastructure across the state. In Hazard, Kentucky, I'm Nicole Valdez, Fox Weather.
All right. Coming up in sports, Chiefs put on full pads for the first time since the AFC Championship game. Plus, Pittsburgh Post 64 set to make its second straight regional tourney appearance. Danny Terzer caught up with the team. She joins us next.
For the second straight year, Pittsburgh Post 64 won the state title and will be competing in the Mid-South Regional Tournament. The Patriots hit the road for Alabama this morning. They entered the regional tournament with a 6-10-1 record. Pittsburgh has played a tough schedule, and they're expecting it to continue to pay off this postseason.
So in the beginning of the year, we went to a lot of showcase tournaments. We played a lot of good teams, and it kind of lowered our confidence a little bit because they were really good teams. And then we went to the state tournament and kind of just rolled through it. And that feels really good. I think it's giving us that confidence we need to go down here and play our best game and win some games.
Pittsburgh faces Tupelo, the Mississippi State champs, in their first game of the tournament on Wednesday at 1 p.m. It will be a good challenge. Tupelo is 32-1 this season. Today marks 1 month until college football returns. Missouri Southern kicks off their season on September 1st against Nebraska Kearney. The Lions are aiming to build off a 3-8 record from last year, their best since 2014. Great news, Southern returns 3 of last year's starting linebackers, Colton Winder, Richard Jordan, and Coleman Booker. That trio will lead the defense and should play a big role in the team's success.
That's a group I don't worry about. You know, when we do grade checks, when we do weight room check, I just know those guys are going to do what it takes to win. And those guys do a great job, you know, being out in front and leading our football team. And so that linebacker crew really is going to anchor our defense, and we'll go as they go.
The Kansas City Chiefs are back in action at training camp in St. Joe. The Chiefs are taking things up a notch this week. Today is the first practice with full pads. Tight end Travis Kelce speaks about what it's like to line up against a bunch of new guys on defense.
Everybody's working and everybody's playing fast and physical, and that's what you need. You just need confident football players out there, and the more that they get acclimated with this defense, no doubt the Spags are going to have these guys flying around playing great football. We got some dogs up front, man. We got some good guys up in the front line, especially, you know, Karlafakis getting in there, throwing his heavy hands around. And it's just been it's been cool, man. It'll be good when we get Carlos in here and kind of get the whole bunch together.
That's a look at sports. Back with more news after this.